You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to The Lyndia Grant Show. We are here today with Dr. Julianne Malvo. She's going to have a little more time today because I did my column again this week, and I only took up about 8.5 minutes. So Dr. Julianne is going to talk to us about 15 minutes. And she's going to tell us what's going on. It's so bad, Dr. J. I don't even watch the news. I'm watching paternity court and,
oh my,
yeah, it makes me laugh because I was, a woman that didn't do much. I was a virgin when I got married. So this looking at all that stuff entertains me. Tell us what's going on.
Well, that paternity stuff, court stuff makes me very sad. It makes me sad about the state of our people and just the shenanigans, but that's neither here nor there. What's going on right now? Well, we were all watching the news at 8 o'clock this evening.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching the news because the man who lives in a house that enslaved people built said that if Iran did not open the Strait of Hormuz by 8 p.m., that they were going to, he made a lot of threats. And he's been making threats, Easter Sunday. He made a very profane threat, used profanity. He's basically downgraded the office of the president, language that you can't imagine any other president, even ones we didn't like, using profanity,
Mm-hmm.
F-bombs.
I saw it. It's ridiculous. I'm shocked at all this.
Like it. I am too. I admit to having something old potty mouth, but there's a time and place for everything. And you don't do that. And the other question is, we don't know what Iran has. Mm-hmm. We really don't know what they have. Well, we're threatening them and telling them, if you don't do this, we gonna do that. Well, we really don't know. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what we know is that there is the Congress has not authorized a war. The president has declared one. He sent out some whiff tickets saying if this didn't happen and that didn't happen, he was going to destroy a whole civilization. Well, at about 6 o'clock on Tuesday, he changed his mind.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he's going to give it 2 weeks to see if they could come to any conclusions, if they could do anything to get that strait open. That strait is very important because 20% of the oil goes through there. And so if it's closed, there is a reduction in the oil supply. However, he keeps telling everybody that we have enough oil, we have enough. Well, if we have enough, why are gas prices going up? The average cost of a gallon of gas as of Tuesday, according to AAA, was $4.14. It was less than $3 just a month ago. Mm-hmm. $4.14. Now, I don't drive and I live in a walkable neighborhood, so that does not mean a lot to me personally. But I know people who are carpooling and doing other things because the cost of gas has just gone up too high. So basically, we're starting with the uncertainty in Iran. It leads to an increase in oil barrel prices. Barrel prices now are over $110 a barrel, which turns into $4.14 gasoline. We feel it on the East Coast. We feel it more on the West Coast, but basically we feel it everywhere. And so what can we say to the people who basically need reasonably priced gas to live their lives? And all we can say is talk to your president.
They have to search for it, look around, and like I did when I was in teaching every day, there's some stations that have lower prices. You just have to, as long as it's not too far, because then you're wasting gas to get there.
Exactly. So $4.14, the highest we've seen since 2022. That was when we're in the middle of the COVID crisis. The markets are talking back. The Dow, as of Tuesday, it went down 180 points. We were recording, of course, on Tuesday. We don't know what's going to do the rest of the week. But if you have stock or you have a 401k, pay attention. What we do know is that half a percentage point is not the end of the world, but it's a signal. Mm-hmm. It's a signal that markets are very, very nervous. Mm-hmm. Everybody is very nervous. It's like, what does this mean? Nobody really knows what it means. And that's a challenge. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, of course, globally, people are thumbing their nose at this country. People are laughing at us. This is funny. This man went into war with Iran with no exit plan, no plan whatsoever. And so the uncertainty is part of what's bothering markets and part of what's bothering people.
Well, now, Dr. J, before you go off that subject, I saw something online about them trying to attack the United States, California.
They've threatened it. And see, they don't think that Iran has any weapons.
Nuclear. It was nuclear was the one I heard about.
Yeah, but they do. Mm-hmm. That's why they've been trying to disarm Iran, and they're not hearing it. Mm-hmm. So then they said they want to have regime change. Well, they got rid of the daddy, but the son is madder than the daddy. Madder first at the United States for getting rid of his daddy, but secondly, mad just in general. He's much more hard line than his dad is. Mm-hmm. So this was a peak by this president, and we're all going to have to pay for it, Lyndia. And in fact, they have talked to threaten the United States. We don't know how far their weapons will go. Mm-hmm. Could they? One of my dear friends who lives 2 or 3 houses down said to me, "Do you think they could get us?" Well, guess what? If they got to the White House, which they could get to 14th and Q.
Yeah,
because we're right there. Mm-hmm. So people are walking around really very cautious and very, very frightened. And that brings me to Congress, because they come back on Monday, the 13th. They've been gone for 2 weeks. They've been on recess. There are 2 stories about that. But they've been on recess because Lil Mike Johnson sent them home. Hakeem Jeffries.
But at least it was Easter time, so it was kind of like an Easter break, I guess.
Don't make excuses for them. I mean, yes, they usually do take an Easter break, but they've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Usually they take like 4 days. They take,
a few days.
Thursday,
like the school kids. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But no, he just sent them home because he didn't want, whenever he doesn't want to deal with something, he sends Congress home. He sends them home for recess. But that, while they have recess, I have a question for you. How many Americans get vacation? Does the federal government require vacation?
Yes.
No, they do not.
Oh, I thought vacation was mandatory, that everybody have to have vacation.
If you have a federal job.
Uh-huh. Right.
But if you work for a private corporation, you can have vacation or not.
Okay. I thought it was across the board everywhere.
Oh, it's only for federal employees. Get usually after 1 year you get 2 weeks vacation. Mm-hmm. You have to work up about 20 years before you can get 5 weeks of vacation.
Although most major corporations do.
They do, but it's voluntary. It's not mandatory.
Okay,
They don't have to. And then you have a whole class of workers, contract workers, gig workers. Mm-hmm. They get paid if they work.
Okay.
So meanwhile, Congress is running off having, 2 weeks off here, 2 weeks off there. And most Americans don't get that. Mm-mm. And I don't think most people know that. Most people don't know that you are not required to receive vacation. Mm-hmm. Although most corporations do it, all do not, and they don't have to. And if you don't, there's no penalty for it. So that's really important to understand. Meanwhile, Congress is back. Mm-hmm. So the budget fights are going to begin again. They want, that man has asked for, I think, $1.3 trillion in defense spending.
Wow.
He's asked for a lot of defense spending. And meanwhile, he's also asked for cuts for education, for housing, for any social spending. And that's how he's going to balance the budget. Um, Congress is likely to go roll over and give him whatever he wants because that's what they've been doing. But I'm hopeful that most Democrats and some Republicans will say, wait a minute now. At the very minimum, what we need them to say is, explain why we're at war with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Explain how much it's going to cost. Because he's never explained. He's over there. He's talking about troops here, troops there. And then his little devil, Pete Hexbeth, who, I get so angry, Lyndia. You're a Christian woman, as am I.
I know.
I get so, when they start whipping out the Bible and, and talking smack about the Lord, and you're like, there ain't no Lord in you.
That's why.
Some Lord in you.
That's why I'm watching other things. I can't let my nerves get rattled like that.
Oh, but you want mine to get nerved, huh?
Yeah, but
don't worry about it.
But I appreciate you for telling us, because I can't sit there and watch it. I have to look for the remote. Where is it? I can't take anymore.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. So anyway, what we're seeing right now is Trump threw a threat out there. Now there's a pause. It's a 2-week pause. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, but we do know that there are going to be some challenges. Mm-hmm. Iran is not going to roll over for this president. That's what we need to understand. Every other president of the United States has comported themselves as a world leader. And so they have been treated as such. This one has comported himself as a glass bowl. This is my new word, glass bowl. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he's comported himself poorly, and so he's not respected. Mm-hmm. So people are not going to roll over him, and that's going to be an issue. Now, the other issue that, of course, the Congress is coming back.
You have 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes.
Okay, quickly. There are also going to be fights about immigration, and there are going to be some fights about spending priorities. So that's where we are. There are so many other things to talk about, but I want to just shout out Don Staley.
Well, before you do, you have 4 minutes. What about the new Attorney General?
Yeah. Well, of course, Pam Bondi got fired, and that will teach everybody that behind kissing does not always get you where you want to be.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
She's kissed a bunch of behind, and she still lost her job. And she lost her job basically because she would not do what the president asked her to do, to go after certain people. Her deputy will be the acting attorney general, but I don't think he's going to be the one to keep the job. I think he's going to look down his list of sycophants. Now they're looking at Jean Perry, the one who is the U.S. attorney for D.C. They're looking at her as a possibility. They're looking at others. But the guy who's in there now, he's not going to, I doubt that he's going to keep it.
But they're already they're already setting up some hearings, trying to get some stuff started in one or 2 days.
Yes, even if he's acting, he has to get congressional approval. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean he's going to keep the job. But we'll see. Mm-hmm. We will see. I wonder what Miss Bondi is going to do next.
I'm curious. Yes.
Yes.
All that mouth she had. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. Mouth, neck rolling. I never seen a white woman roll her neck.
Oh my God! To act like a street thug.
Mm-hmm.
That's not class. It's not sophistication. It's tacky.
No, it's not class. It's crass. It's crass. Talking over people. She was horrible. Mm-hmm. But you know what? This is what that man wanted until it became embarrassing to him. And when it became embarrassing to him, then all of a sudden, he got rid of her.
Yeah.
Just like he got rid of Chrissy Nome, sent her somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I expect that more heads will roll. The one he needs to have roll is Hexbeth, but he's going to keep him.
Yes, he does.
He makes him look good, But anyway, I think I probably have a minute now, and I just want to take the last minute. I like to, when the stuff is so heavy, Lyndia, sometimes
go to something light, yes.
With a fire. And I just want to shout out Don Staley. I just love her. I just adore her. I think she's amazing. She's a South Carolina women's basketball coach. She got into it with an idiotic man um, in the Final Four. He got
Mm-hmm.
up in her face and she stood her ground. And that's all I said. She stood her ground, and good for her. South Carolina lost to UCLA, but she shows what leadership looks like.
Mm-hmm.
She's building excellence. She's lifting young women, and she's proved that women's sports can be the center of the national conversation. So if we're talking about work today, and leadership, Staley is leadership, and that is in the house that enslaved people built.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing any leadership there.
No.
So Black women around the world can smile and clap and say, "Right on, Don Staley." Even when you don't win the game, you win the game of life.
You're still proud. Thank you so much, Dr. Julian. I appreciate you for giving us this heads up. For those of us who don't like to listen, this was very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyndia.
All right, we're going to go to our commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington Informer religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Paul was one of the great encouragers. In fact, in 1 Thessalonians, he says, "Therefore encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. And we exhort you, brethren, admonish the idle, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all. See that none of you repays evil for evil, but always seek to do good for one another and all." We should encourage each other at every opportunity. That's a key to raising great kids. And in churches and in businesses, that's how to be a good leader. So encourage your children, your friends, believers and non-believers. It will help them become better people, and you will be a better person too. And happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it, be inspired.
And we are back. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. We're going to go to our second half. And your guest today is yours truly. I'm doing my religion corner again. This week, my religion corner topic is standing in the intersection of joy and sorrow. I just wanted to write about that because I was watching a movie and I heard someone. I always get my inspirations from watching a movie or listening to a song, and God would tell me that's your column right there. So this is a brand new column that came from listening to a show on TV, and it was talking about how you can have joy and sorrow at the same time. So let me share with you what I wrote. Have you ever found yourself laughing through tears? You had a heavy weight of grief in your chest even as you celebrated a major victory. If so, you are not alone. In this world, those of us who are still here among the living, we will experience joy and sorrow many times. Together, sometimes they will be intertwined like threads in a single garment. We will, of course, experience one right along with the other. We often think of these emotions as sequential, when we first finish weeping before we start rejoicing. But that's not always the way it goes. No, the Word of God shows us a different way. Let me share with you some witnesses from the Scriptures. The Apostle Paul describes this mystery so perfectly. He said, he called himself sorrowful, yet he's always rejoicing. Now let's take a look at the scripture Paul was speaking of. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 10. Paul didn't say he was joyful after his sorrow. He said he was joyful in the midst of his sorrow. This is the both/and. You got both at the same time. It's both and it's also and. Of a life lived while walking by faith and not by sight. Let's talk about these two realities, because they truly are. When you're grieving, oh my God, or you're sad, it takes over. How is it possible to hold both at once? You are sad, you're in tears, you're in grief from a death or from your husband or wife leaving you. You can hardly get up out of the bed. Yet, you can also rejoice at the same time. It is because joy and sorrow are grounded in two different realities. It's like two different homes, two different fields. If you're riding down the street, sorrow is on one side and joy is on the other. They don't occupy the same place. Sorrow is our natural response to the brokenness of this world. When we're saddened due to loss of family or loved ones, we feel pain from loss of a job or from an eviction from your home. Your car broke down and it will cost you thousands of dollars. So many disappointments that would cause us to feel sorrow. I can mention all of these things because I have experienced each and every one. When it hurts, we cry. Even Jesus himself wept. You know the shortest scripture in the Bible. It's in John chapter 11, verse 13. It simply says, Jesus wept. I often recite that because I would like to remind folks that when they're going through, it's okay to shed a tear. Jesus promised that those who mourn will be comforted. Joy, on the other hand, is a fruit of the Spirit that is grounded in the unshakable sovereignty of God. It is just like a great granite boulder simply sitting on the coast of your life. The waves of sorrow may crash over it and temporarily submerge it from view, but they cannot dislodge it. Your joy will still be right there. I guarantee you, even in the midst of major sorrow, there are some joys that will make you shout, jump up and down, and rejoice. Let you find out that a family member just sent you a large amount of money. No matter what you are experiencing, you're going to feel joy. And I'm talking about like $100,000, something totally unexpected. When that joy comes through, one that you have wanted for so many years, even in the midst of your worst sorrow, I promise you, though it may only be momentarily, you will rejoice. You'll go back to being sad, but you're still going to be happy to hear that good news. Some lessons from the Word where we see this mingled experience throughout Scripture. Let me just share a few of those scriptures with you right here. We see this mingled experience throughout the Scriptures. First one is Brother Job. Job lost his children, he lost all of his wealth, and he lost his health all at the same time. In fact, his wife said to him, "You ought to curse God and die." Job thought she was crazy. "Thou speakest as one of a foolish woman. What? Shall we receive good on the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? Both exist in this world." In all this, Job did not sin with his lips, yet in the middle of that deep sorrow, he found the strength to say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord." That's in Job 121, he says, and Job also said, "Naked did I come into this world out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." The cross of Christ is an ultimate example. It was the most sorrowful event in history, yet Hebrews 12:2 tells us that Jesus endured it for the joy set before him. Moving forward with hope, let me say, if you are in a season where the waves are high, don't feel guilty for your tears. You are not a sequential being who has to be all one way or all the other. You can be grieving a loss while simultaneously thanking God for the years you had together. The secret is to rejoice in hope. We know that this season is temporary. Psalms 30:5 tells us that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. One day, every tear will be wiped away, and our tearful joy will finally be replaced by tearless joy. Until then, keep standing on the rock. Your joy in the midst of sorrow is a powerful testimony to the word and the world that your God is bigger than your circumstances. That concludes the Lyndia Grant Show for this week. Good day.
Washington Informer religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Who Moved My Cheese is a book about two types of people, those who accept change quickly and move on, and those who hem and haw and try to figure things out. They didn't see change coming and waste valuable time trying to figure out what happened. How did this happen to me? Let's call this group procrastinators. The lesson inside the cheese story is simple. Life is change. Goethe said it best when he said, "If I accept you as you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though you are what you're capable of becoming, I help you become that." We must change and keep moving. The Bible tells us to seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open unto you, ask and it shall be given.
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
Thank you for listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.